Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Reagan, Pasternak, welcome to Savvy Broadcasting on Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you here today. You're going to share your wonderful book, Griffin's Heart. It's part memoir, but part interactive guide to help people through the mourning of their pet. And we talked just a teeny bit before we pressed the go button about the painfulness of having a beloved pet leave and pass on. I mean, they're beyond family members. I mean, they teach so many lessons. I mean, if I had to tell you, my little Henry here, and before that, Rexy, followed me like a shadow. Such a blessing to our family. Share a little bit what prompted you to write Griffin's Heart.
Well, I grew up with animals. I've just always been an animal lover, and my family is, my family was always having dogs and cats and everything in between. And but having my first. I had Cleo and Griffin were my first two animals as an adult living on my own. And when Griffin passed, and he was 7.5 when he passed, I could not believe how brokenhearted I was. I had not, I knew when he was sick, I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. He was just like, there's certain animals. I love all my animals the same, but there are certain animals that are really soulmate animals or heart animals, as some people call them. And he was for sure that. And so, yeah, when he died, I was so brokenhearted, and I didn't know how to deal with the pain, and I kept pushing it away, and it kind of manifested into other ailments like anxiety and sleep deprivation basically ended up happening. And so I finally went to talk to somebody about the sleep problems that I was having. And she kind of pegged it. I talk about this at the very beginning of the book, but she pegged it as, there's a lot of things going on in your life, but I think that you need to learn how to mourn your pet. And that was huge for me, just the validation of it. And I started writing about that. Just what does that mean? What does that mean to mourn an animal? What does it say about us? What does it say about our animal, of course? And what does it say about why is that so needed and important in our lives? And I just kind of became obsessed with that idea for a while. And thank goodness, because it turned into a book.
Yay.
So yes.
Yeah. Well, Henry, come on over here. He's about to talk right now. Someone's outside the door.
Honestly, I'd love it.
But that's so true, because what it is when someone dies in your family, like say your mom, your dad, your brother, people are like, oh, I get it, send condolences and flowers. But you call into work and say, my dog just died, and they're like, oh, okay, so you'll be here in a half hour. Wow. It's like there's no understanding that no, you don't understand, this is my beloved pet. He is a really big part of
the topic. No, it's perfect. It's the soundtrack.
Henry, come on over here. Come here, buddy. No, he wants to talk to the door. No, but he's such a beloved pet, and he's protecting the house right now. But it's so true. People don't realize that it is important to mourn these beloved animals that teach us so much. I mean, Henry has taught me gratitude. Every time we come into the house, he's like, yes, I have a house. I have loved ones. I have humans. I have food. We forget to be grateful for the little things.
So true. So completely true. And it's just one of those things that I mean, it sounds like such a heavy topic to have a book about, grieving an animal, and so sad, and we all like dread that day. And, but I feel like it's actually, what I learned is that it's actually quite beautiful. And the way we love our animals is so pure. The way they love us is so pure. What they give us is so different than what humans are amazing and can give us lots too, but this unconditional love is just, and the habits that we create because of them, and the people we meet because of them often. So it's just, it's one of those things that I feel like we need to find meaning in it. And for me, I when I was writing the book, I just, there kept being something that was missing for me. And I realized what it was is I wanted the book to turn into some sort of keepsake, as well as not just, reading a book, but I wanted it to become this way to commemorate them, because that is what I believe kind of needs to happen for healing, so that that you honor them back, because they give us and give us and give us, and then commemorating them for me has brought me so much peace, because if you saw, you have the copy right here, because I always keep it beside me when I'm doing interviews, but it's so jam-packed I can barely get it in the slipcover because I have filled it with, my dog Jed passed away this year.
Mm.
One of our cats, Murmur, passed away, and Jed was also a heart animal for me. I loved them all, but Jed, my God, he was the only one at our wedding, my wedding. He was like my first child, with my husband, kind of thing. So, so I packed this book with his memories and his photos and sympathy cards that I got and things like that. Yeah. And I genuinely do find it healing. And I know I'm talking about my own book, but it really, for me, was super important to take the time to grieve. And I mean, we're so go with everything in life, right? So it's so good to carve out, even if it's a few minutes, just go page by page and just give yourself time to heal. And honestly, if you have to lie to your employees and say, I had a death in my family, then do that, because you need, it's a mental health issue. And if you're putting feelings in, it's not healthy. It's not. Trust me, I did it. So yeah.
No, I get you there. I mean, my first dog, Rexy, when I was 2, I didn't realize this, but I escaped from our backyard and I went traveling on the side of a highway. God bless Rexy. He followed me and was on the left in traffic, on that side of traffic, to keep me from going into the highway and killing myself. Highway patrol found both of us and brought us back home. But see, that's something, the blessing. I wouldn't be here today having this interview if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for the first dog that was in my family life.
Right. Oh my God, that's an incredible story. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. And then tell me some of the lessons you learned from Griffin. I mean, for Henry, gratitude is number one. I mean, I'm amazed that every single time he comes back into this apartment for a walk, it's like the first time. What have you learned from being with Griffin and living your life with him?
So for me, what I learned is, to seek out people who fill me with, love and kindness, and animals are so drama free, so most of them, I mean, they're definitely not on purpose. When they have some drama, it's not their fault. But I think there was a lot of that. It just really, because I keep going back to the book, but I while I was navigating what it meant to grieve him, I really was finding out so much about myself. I really was. It made me kind of have to reflect on things that happened in my childhood, and have to reflect on things that happened in my 20s, and why he was the solace for me. And there was, I have a chapter called Lessons Learned. But the entire book is a lesson from me, though. The entire thing was everything that, the creativity that he evoked in me, the way I want to be compassionate to others. There were so many things, and there's so many things that actually I had to address after he passed away, because when they go, you're kind of left with all those feelings. You're like, oh, because I say that they act almost as a sponge for the harder parts of life, because they bring us back to such a lighter, almost childlike part of ourselves in a lot of ways. And so when they go, then you're just left with those feelings, and you kind of have to confront them, so you can not worry about building up walls and allowing yourself to love another animal, or love again, period.
Yeah, I know. I totally get that. My husband says to me all the time, our life is so vastly different with Henry here, because everywhere we go, he's with us. He's our double. We bring him everywhere with us. Wherever we can, if a dog is accepted, he's with us, right next to us. And we're all like, this is our friend Henry. And they're like, and then he waggle. He loves to be acknowledged.
The conversation icebreakers, and they're just a way for people to kind of relax, and even a stranger seeing you. I was walking my 2 dogs this morning, and an older woman was walking down the river where I was walking, and she just said, oh, she looks so kind. Can I pet her? And she just had like a moment. And I just thought, I don't know what this woman's life is like. Maybe she's alone all day, and she had this little moment of like, my dogs, both of them ended up just loving her and just sniffing her and kissing her. And those are just these wonderful things that you can't have if you don't have an animal. You just can't have those little moments of interactions with humans as well,
Yeah. Yeah, humans are like, can I pet you? No, you can't. No.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I'm good. But what's great about, pets in particular, all pets I've had and pets I've actually hung with friends, is that they're so present. It's like, unlike humans, or in the past, in the future, thinking about what I have to do next, Henry's never like that. He is just right here, right now. And that is such a wonderful lesson for all of us.
100%. I love that. That's absolutely true. There, that's why every time you come in, you're like, I was just getting the mail. Are you seriously this excited to see me? And you're like, yes, I'm this excited because this is the present moment, and here you are.
I know. But share with with the audience a little bit, because your book, as you say, is not just a memoir, but it helps you through the grieving process, because you have a number of exercises for people to go through to really get in touch with your feelings and what you're going through with the loss of your beloved pet.
Yeah. So when I started writing, had no clue where I was going with it. I didn't know if it was actually going to be out there in the world. I just had it inside my bones, and I needed to get it out somehow. And I was writing mostly memories and memoir, and research that I'd found about grief, and so I was writing mostly that. And I think that was the problem. I kept going, what is this? There's something missing, and there's something missing. And then finally, I'm so glad it took me so long, because I had read so many brilliant books on nothing to do with animals, but just, the brain and how the brain works. And I was kind of attributing everything I read to loss. And I think altogether just was inspiring me, and inadvertently inspiring me to figure out what I wanted this book to be. And what I wanted it to be was my story as a friend for the reader who's also going through the same thing that I was going through. Yeah. And so that was kind of evoking. I'm like, journaling helped me. So this is, the first time I ever saw my animal. It's a chapter called "The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face." And so I write the story about the first time ever I saw Griffin and what I was going through at that time. And then the reader is also going to write their first time. And there's, places for photos throughout it as well. So I kind of explain how to use it, and really just, I tried to make my voice exactly how I speak in real life. So just hanging out. So, even if you don't feel comfortable 3 months after your pet has died, or a year after your pet has died, talking about how much it still hurts, you're talking to me, because I felt that way. And it's still with me right now, years later. So gradually the book ended up just being, how do I give everything that I've learned along the way? And also, I studied so much about cognitive therapy, which is, kind of a way to rewire your thinking. So, when an animal dies, you are so sad, and you're so remembering those last moments. But there's, they talk about the dash it's really actually the time between when you're born and when you pass that matters. So throughout the book, I'm kind of getting you back into that part, into the love, back into the remembering of all the good things. And for me, that was super healing. And, I did lose my mom actually in the last 2 years.
Wow.
And it was interesting, because I felt like it all applied to her, to that loss as well. It's just about remembering the good, and crying when you need to, getting out those feelings, absolutely in a safe space where you don't feel judged, but also getting back to the love. We're all here for a short time. That is a given, it's just the sad truth. And so finding meaning in it is like the best gift we can give ourselves. And it's the best gift we can give our animal, and the person we lost, or the animal that we lost. And so so gradually I just thought, I want this book to really feel like a keepsake. I want it to be beautiful, and I want it to be the best quality, the best paper, environmentally friendly, so you don't feel bad about having this, book. And so it ends up being a complete keepsake. And there's even I put a pocket at the back, so that you can put cards or any spare photos that you just don't know what to do with anymore. And I wrote a postcard to every single reader as well in that back. I just really want people to feel supported when they're going through this, because I needed that. I really did.
That is so great, Reagan, that you created this. And what's also good, like Henry had a spell where he got sick earlier in the year, and we thought he might have to be put down. We were thinking that briefly, and I was just horrified, like, what? No, If you just pass away in your sleep one day, fine. But no. So I was like horrified. I was crying on the way to the vet. I was just a mess. But this could be helping people going through the process. If your pet is going through sickness or the health isn't so well and you know your time is limited, I'm sure it'll help you go through that process even before he passes.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't know because yes, I guess you're right. But for me, I just feel like while they're here, let's just love them.
As much as you can. Yeah.
I love them as much as you can because it's one of those things that while they're here, I look at my animals that I have now. I'm like, oh, but you're going to get old. And then I'm like, no, I have you right now. I want to think about this. They are present, right? If we're going to learn from them, they're in the present. And so even if they're sick, be present, be positive, and stick with them until they're not. And it's those hard emotions. And I totally understand what you're saying that, you're going, this is so hard. How am I going to get through this? And there's no way around that. It's hard. And how are you going to get through it? And hopefully, look what happened. You did get through it and your animal even pulled through it. So, so it's one of those things, like learn from them. They are in the present moment and we have to be in the present moment.
Yeah, it's such a great lesson. You are so right, Reagan. Pasternak, thank you so much for coming. Where can people get a copy today of Griffin's Heart? Where can they get a copy?
We're on Amazon and we're also at griffinsheart.com. And also we've now added a new part to the book where we have it wrapped up in this beautiful paper. And I've created this stamp that I stamp on it. So it comes automatically pre-wrapped. So even if you want to get it for somebody, I just didn't want it getting scratched in the mail because those Amazon delivery people are sometimes but yeah, so that's where I would definitely direct your listeners.
That's awesome. Well, Reagan, Pasternak, I just thank you again for coming and being a blessing to the world and creating Griffin's Heart. Thank you so much for coming today also and sharing on Savvy Broadcasting.
Thank you so much for having me.
You betcha. Take care.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.